All right, so we should be seeing my screen at this point, so just let me know if you're not. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you guys. My name is Brian. Can I get that? Okay, just get my screen set here. Great. So my name is Brian Auer. I'm here representing JobPlanner. So thank you so much, Joel, for that presentation on Acumatica. Very powerful system there. I'm sure everyone attending can see that. A lot going on there, and Joel did a great job compressing a lot of the most, pertinent pieces to construction specifically into this time. So thanks for that, Joel. Um, Taking a look at Job Planner and what we have to offer, what we bring to the table, essentially, Job Planner is a construction management software. So we're really looking at the project management side of things. So we help with some of those same day-to-day operations that can happen in other systems, but we really try and put it into one place, one login with a clean, easy to use interface. Okay. Again, my name is Brian. Nice to meet you guys. I'm a solution engineer here with Job Planner. So really that means my job is to be an expert in the system and then to hear a little bit about a company's business and see if there can be a fit, provide tailored demonstrations and solution their problems as they come up. My counterpart is Pat. He's not here with us today. He is actually stuck in the airport with some inclement weather today. So he wishes he could be here, but he sends his best wishes. And Pat's the director of sales. And so if you are going to be interested in something you see here today, Pat would be a great contact, and I'll include his contact information at the end of this presentation. A little bit about Job Planner. I promise I'll keep this very brief before we jump into some of the more specific stuff. Job Planner has been around as a company for going on 3 years now, but the technology that we bring to the table is older than that. Job Planner is around 10 years old in terms of its technology. We were part of Pantera Global Technologies. If any of you on the call are familiar with Pantera, as an invitation to bid and bid management system, that's our roots. That's where we came from initially. Essentially, Pantera at some point was acquired, and the company that acquired Pantera wasn't interested in the project management and the job costing and the financial management side of things. And so when that acquisition happened, we decided to spin off and launch our own company, which is Job Planner. So the technology's been around for quite a while. It's mature and developed. But the whole team came from Pantera. So just to give you a little bit of background there. So when I say the vision for a more complete solution, that's where we were building out these project management pieces, these financial management pieces. And then where we are today is when we launched Job Planner, and we're excited as the product has been gaining traction in the market. Let's jump into the software itself, and we can take a look at how Job Planner can help Jenga Construction manage that Hasbro HQ project that Joel was showing us. So this would be everything from that procurement phase that Joel was talking about. So when we're looking at, hey, we're sending out invitations to bid to subcontractors, or maybe we're sending it out to suppliers to give us a proposal on what this particular scope is going to cost. What does it look like for those different trade partners, that extended project team, to view the project in Job Planner? What can they see? What can they take action on? How does it look for them to submit their bids? How difficult is it for somebody who doesn't know Job Planner to learn the system? That's what we're going to take a look at in a moment. And then I'll briefly touch on some of the project management pieces that Job Planner can handle, as well as some of the financial management. Okay. So with that said, let's jump right over to the software. Here it is. So this is Job Planner that we're looking at the moment. Just like we just saw with Acumatica, it is a browser-based system. So this means anytime, anywhere access. If you have access to the internet, you can access Job Planner. If it's a mobile app, or I'm sorry, a mobile device or a tablet in the field, as long as they're connected to the internet, they can go to their browser and type in jobplanner.com and log in, or they can use a purpose-built mobile application that works for both iOS and Android, tablets, and mobile phones. And we'll take just a brief look at some of the capabilities in the app a little bit later on in my time here today. So part of what Job Planner brings to the table is, like I mentioned, that pre-construction invitation to bid. So we're going to take a look there first. As I drop down this menu here, you can see a lot of different menu options across the top. This is a fully enabled view. This would be a user that has access to everything. If you look at this and think like, man, some of like maybe my superintendent who might be in this software, this would be overwhelming for them. There's just too much going on. They don't need to see all of this stuff. Rest assured, we can turn off whatever you need and tailor the experience to particular users at your company, or even subcontractors. If they're going to come into here and maybe they're going to add an RFI to you, or maybe they're going to invoice you through Job Planner, which is a possibility, we can control their experience as well and make sure it's very targeted and they're only seeing what they need to see. Okay. That being said, let's go ahead and click into this messaging tool. So this would be new project. We need to figure out who we're going to invite to bid on this project. Okay. What this messaging tool is going to read from is our contact list. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up in a new tab. And this is the contact list here in Job Planner. Now, the first thing you might think when you see this is, okay, this looks nice. How do we get all of this in there? It seems like it'd be a nightmare to click new contact, type everything in, new contact, type everything in. Rest assured, if you do choose to use Job Planner in the future, we can go ahead and import right here. We can import lots of contacts at once. We can import them from an ERP system. If we're going to connect Job Planner to an ERP system like Acumatica, we can go ahead and pull in those contacts from there, or we can just do it from an Excel sheet. There's a variety of ways to get these in here. Once your contacts are in the system, then there's a handful of pieces you can track about them. So at the company level, what trades do they work with us? Are they union, non-union? What certifications they have? And we can build out additional filters here. You can even rate and score your subs on whatever system you want. You can create your own custom fields here in Job Planner and decide how you want to rate your subs for future reference. And then, of course, we do have the powerful pre-qualification tool. Now, pre-qual is one of those things that everybody says, or anyone who works with subcontractors anyway says, yeah, we should be doing it, but we're not really today. I guess I would ask, like, so why aren't you doing that today? Is it because it's just cumbersome and now we have to ask people to fill this out and we don't know how to build it out? Job Planner offers a really nice solution for that if it's relevant to you, where we can make this pre-qual form as robust or as simple as you want it to be. This one that I have is pretty robust. I mean, I have some embedded tools in here where they can define their work areas and say exclude certain counties for whatever reason. We have smart questions in here. So for instance, if I type a certain amount, a dollar amount in here, it might get routed to one person at my company. Whereas if it's a different dollar amount, it can be routed to somebody else. And as you can see, again, this one's built out to be pretty robust. We could also make this very simple where all it's saying is, hey, all I really need is a W-9 and a COI from this sub, and that's good enough for me. We can have a pre-qual form that's that simple, and we can say when it expires, send some automated emails to those folks requiring, or rather requesting updated certifications. And we can even have field level expirations as well. So when they upload a certain cert onto this field, we can start a timer and say, hey, 365 days or whatever. From that date, we're going to automatically request an updated cert. Okay. So pre-qual form, very robust, or it can be very straightforward. Just we make it work for our individual customers. And then, of course, we can track back at this company level view that we're looking at, shockingly good electrical in this case. We can track individuals at that company, and we can even get to the level of permission of say, hey, Alec at this company, we trust him. He has some nice permissions, whereas Sean, he's given us some trouble in the past. So I'm going to go into his permissions, override them, and turn off some additional permissions from him. So you can get to that level of detail as well. Once your contacts are built out, and the reason I showed that is because when we come to a new project and we're going to invite different people to bid, I'll go ahead and do it with this simple search here. That's what Job Planner is going to read in order to build the list of people that we're sending this invitation to bid email to. So in this case, for the Hasbro HQ project, let's say they haven't bid out concrete yet. So they're going to come in here. Job Planner looks at the zip code from the project data. We can say 100 miles out from that zip code, I want to bid out or send invitations to bid to just non-union companies, for instance. And you can select that filter or whatever parameters you want to put on there. Once you select that, you can come down here to your trade structure, select the division that you're bidding out, and then hit send message. One thing I want to note, this system that I'm working on today is configured for a CSI 16 division is how I have my trades broken down. If you break them down in a different way, or this is like way off from how you guys break down your work, no problem at all. Job Planner is completely flexible. This isn't like the only library that you can have. We can build this out to break down your work and have your trade structure in any way that makes sense to your company. So we can make it work for how you're currently thinking of your breakdowns. I'll go ahead and click send message, and you'll see there's this little notification down here, and up here it says 6 selected. So Job Planner scrolled through my contact list and found 6 different people that meet the parameters that I set on that search. So now these 6 different concrete companies that are within 100 miles and have the certain labor statuses that I selected are going to receive this email right here, and we can see what that would look like once they receive it. Invitation to bid, branded with their logo. There's big actionable buttons in here so they can click accept to bid on this project, and that will change their status in our environment so we can see that they've accepted it. And of course, they can click in and view the drawings, and if they miss it here, we'll put another button down here where they can click on that, and now they can come into Job Planner and they can see the drawings that are on this project. So if I go ahead and open that up here, I can go to the drawings on this project. This is what our trade partners could see, the different drawings that we have uploaded. Potentially, they could even see markups that we've put on these drawings. You can save those and make them public so that anyone can view them, so that your trade partners are all working off the correct set of plans. They can then do their takeoffs separately and they can actually submit their proposals through JobPlanner, which is what we'll see in a moment. If we want to, from this email, we can, of course, attach things from here and make sure everyone's working on the right information. But that's kind of how the invitation to bid system works. Just a note here, this doesn't just need to be inviting people to bid. Let's say the situation comes up where the bid deadline is coming up and a lot of people clicked this accept button, but they never sent me their actual, their proposals. What I can do here is go ahead and filter this by responses. I'll go ahead and say yes. And now here's all the people that are in an accepted status. So these companies here, we can see the bid amount is all zero. They haven't bid. They said they're going to, but they haven't yet. I'm just going to go ahead and select all, hit new message. And now there's those three companies in my queue. I don't need to send them an invitation to bid email. I need to send them a reminder. And so you'll see when I click that, the template refreshes and tells me this is going to be a bid reminder email. I can type anything I want in here. And now it's going to update my template saying like, hey, we really want you to submit your bids in on time. And of course, we'll have that nice button down here for them to access those plans, make it a very frictionless experience for our trade partners to, get us the proposals that we're looking for. So lots of different ways this messaging tool can be used. We can send addendum notifications and attach it to the email. We could send project messages and updates, and we can build out additional templates for you to make this messaging tool work for you. Now, once these emails have been sent out, what does it look like for my trade partners to bid in JobPlanner? So right here, we're looking at the bid forms tool. We can see at a glance from the summary tab, I can see my internal estimate of how much we think this scope is going to cost. We can see JobPlanner is going to tell us what the apparent low is based on the proposals that we've already received from our trade partners. And if we've awarded a scope, we can see that right here at a glance. And of course, this can be exported in a variety of ways if you want to manipulate this data or work with it in Excel, which could then even inform your CRM. It could inform your ERP system. If you're using an ERP like Acumatica that has CRM embedded inside of it, you could export this whole list into your project quotes over in Acumatica or whatever ERP system CRM you're using to track those potential projects as they're going. So JobPlanner plays very nicely with those systems by allowing us to export in a variety of formats. I'm going to click into a trade here. Here's concrete. And you can see I have their form broken out in a way that makes sense for my concrete guys to bid. I have equipment, concrete and cubic yards, things along those lines. Now, maybe for electrical, or maybe you guys, the way you bid is like, hey, all I need is a lump sum, or maybe some trades, all you really need is a lump sum. You don't need this level of detail. If I click into electrical, we can see that's how I have them bidding. All they need is to enter a lump sum amount. So for instance, Bonamici Electric right here, if I hit edit, this is essentially the screen that Mr. Santino Bonamici, what he would see when he comes into JobPlanner to submit his proposal. He can just add this line item right here. Of course, he can add alternates if I'm allowing him to. He can down here put inclusions, exclusions, notes. He can attach a file, or maybe Mr. Santino actually sent me his proposal in Excel, and now I want to enter it into JobPlanner so I can have all of my proposals in one place. We can, of course, as we're seeing here, come into his proposal and enter it on his behalf by just typing in his amounts. And then if I want to, I can attach that Excel file right here for future reference. So now we can always reference the original proposal that we've received. One other thing to mention, if your trade partners, how do I say this? Our trade partners don't always bid in the way that we would love them to, right? And so sometimes they need a little bit of flexibility if they're going to use the system at all. They need a little bit of flexibility in how they're going to enter their proposals. You can see this nice add line item button. This is a preference. We can turn this on or lock it down and say, nope, you have to bid in the format we're giving you, or you can allow them to add line items and customize this a little bit. They can say, hey, this is a lump sum, or I want to add something in linear feet. And they can add, the cost per linear foot and all of those kinds of things. And as you'll notice, there's these comment buttons. We can leave internal comments on these too and speak to each other about these proposals that we're receiving. As these proposals are coming in, either from the trade partners doing them or from us entering them, you can see a variety of statuses here. We can reject them, which will let somebody know that it's been rejected and then say like, hey, something went wrong, you need to fix it. We can just leave it in a submitted status and take a look at it. As I mentioned, we can leave notes to each other in here that our trade partners can't necessarily see. And then we can go ahead and actually award these scopes to our trade partners. And when we award them, what that's going to do is automatically add that company to our project contacts. And so now within this project, there's the project contacts list. We can then simply go over to commitments. We can create their subcontract based on their proposal that they've sent us. And there'll be an option on the dropdown when we create a new subcontract because, we accepted their bid. And then at that point, if you're connected to an ERP system like Acumatica, you can push that subcontract to your ERP and that will show up in the appropriate place over there. So you can see that we have some of those operational elements, things like setting up subcontracts, things like bidding, things like having change requests that ultimately become change orders. We can manage our contracts within here, our budgets, take a look at budget versus actuals. All of these more operational pieces that still have a finance flavor to them can be managed here in Job Planner and influenced by your accounting system. You hear me mentioning accounting systems a lot. We do integrate with a variety, including a very tight relationship with Acumatica. However, it doesn't, Job Planner doesn't need to be hooked up to your accounting system. We can also operate as a standalone solution. So just wanted to throw that out there. So that's a bit about our pre-construction. I showed you our pre-qual form that can be pretty configurable, our contact management, the messaging system to communicate with our trade partners, and then also these bid forms here in Job Planner. The last thing to mention on the bid forms here, templating. This is pervasive throughout Job Planner. If there's a way that you typically set up your trade packages or your bid packages, I should say, you can hit import template and you can have a variety of different templatized types in here. And so you don't need to set up those forms every time. Save them as a template, save yourself some time, import that template. And now once it's in here, it's live data. You can edit it and customize it for this particular job, but you can save it as a template to save yourself some time. With the last 5 minutes that I have here, I'm just going to jump into a very brief overview of some of the field tools and the financial management that we have, just so you can see what it looks like, and then I'll go ahead and pass it on to the next presenter. So we looked at the pre-construction stuff in here, but just from a project management point of view, what does Job Planner have to offer there? So as Jenga Construction is managing this Hasbro HQ project, they need the Gantt chart in here, of course. When you see this, maybe some of you, your first thought goes to, wow, that looks a little bit like Microsoft Project. Absolutely, it does. And that's very much so on purpose. It's an industry standard, and we play nice with MS Project. You can actually, if you really are married to it and you want to have your project set up there first, you can absolutely still continue to do that. And you can see we can import from file here. We can bring in your MS Project file, have it populate your Gantt chart, and now it's live data in the cloud. We can share this out with other people. We can edit it from within here. It has the Gantt chart logic built in, so we can see that these guys have a start-to-start relationship. So if I push out this HVAC project, or this HVAC task, I should say, it's going to bump out the plumbing automatically. I can shorten the events from within here or drill into this HVAC task, take a look at it in detail and hard code those start and finish dates, all the Gantt chart functionality you'd expect, including like lead and lag times, that can all be entered here on our schedule tool in Job Planner. Of course, more to see in here, but that's the highlights. Another thing that might pique your interest, our daily reports tool. We have the ability to track daily reports from the field, and you can see these tabs across the top of what information are we gathering from our field personnel? Who was on the job that day and what were they working on? You can even get down to what location were they on the job site. A survey tab where we can ask specific questions on specific days and collect project photos from our superintendents, foremen, whoever's in the field filling out this daily report. And this can absolutely be done. Going to get rid of that. This can absolutely be done from the mobile app as well. So in the mobile app, we have things like the drawings, including the ability to mark up from the field. And then the daily reports right here. So we can see that same daily report format. I can come into the survey tab and see those questions. I have the ability to upload photos from the field, all of which will then be viewable from the office. So we have that seamless communication between field and office here via the mobile app. And then last thing to mention, of course, more to see here, but just in the interest of time, I'll pop over to our financial section here. And we can see here's Job Planner's budget tool. This Hasbro project is broken down into a CSI division again, but again, this sub-job structure, totally flexible and can be informed by your accounting system or set up here in Job Planner. If I break down this sub job, I can see some different cost codes that are associated with it, and the different budget amounts in here, the different account groups, all kinds of stuff like that. And these columns can all be configurable to whatever you'd like to see. And the last thing I'll pop in and show you, I promise I'll shut up after this. Subcontract management and contract management if you want to manage the prime contract, that's here as well. But within these different subcontracts, which again can inform your accounting system, we can see at a glance the bill to date, contract total, and amount remaining for all of our subcontracts and purchase orders as well. And when I click into them, I can see the information on here, including default retainages per line, what the payment terms are going to be, which would generate on the document itself, as well as the schedule of values itself for the subcontract, any invoices that are against it. And the invoicing in Job Planner couldn't be simpler. You come into the schedule of values. In this case, here's that one scheduled value from the subcontract. Here's a change order that was entered at some point against it. We can then enter the percentage completes, or we can invite the subcontractor right here to do it. And we can click invite to bill, send them an email. They can log into Job Planner and set their own percentage completes and submit it for your consideration. But it's pretty simple to come in here and say, hey, 35% complete now on this line item. We're at 100% complete on that change order. And Job Planner is going to automatically calculate the pending invoice amount, less the retainage. And then again, if a subcontractor was doing this, they would have a submit button, goes into an under review status, and someone on your team is notified that that's happened. They can review it, mark it as approved, potentially push it to the ERP system, all kinds of good stuff like that. So hopefully that whirlwind kind of made sense to you guys as we looked at the bid management portion of Job Planner and the pre-construction side, the managing the project as it's in its execution phase, and the financial management as well of managing our subcontracts, our change requests that roll up into change orders, managing the budget and taking a look at actuals as they're hitting the project. We can pull that information from accounting. All of that kind of stuff is available in Job Planner to help you manage those projects. If anything you saw today piqued your interest, I have here some contact information. Feel free to reach out to Pat at patrick.mulcairn@jobplanner.com or myself. And my last name is pronounced Hour, in case anyone's wondering. I know it's a weird one. But there's that contact information for you. You can take a look at our website or find us on YouTube or LinkedIn, and we'd be happy to connect with you in the future. Any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But at this point, Amy, I think we're ready to kick it off to the next.